Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of Iron Port. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by Serene Insurance, Ball PLC, the Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Link Network Services Limited, Meridian Port Services Limited, and Phoenix Insurance. Our proud media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Iron Port is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Now, this week we are taking a look at the new VAT reforms by the Ghana Revenue Authority and what these reforms mean for businesses as well as individuals like you and I.
So, VAT had been with us for the past 27 years.
Yes.
And we saw a complete overhaul in 2023. And since then, we have had several amendments done to the law.
Right.
Yes, so some of these amendments have actually affected the structure and the design of the tax. And of course, with the VAT, if there's no efficiency embedded in it, it opens up for non-compliance. So we have seen over the years that the VAT gap had been going up. It is estimated that the VAT gap in Ghana is about 60%.
Right, wow.
What that means is that we are able to collect only about 60 or 40% or so of the potential revenue from the VAT. And so the complication in the introduction of some of these levies and decoupling the levies from the main VAT regime made prices of goods and services to be going up. So that, of course, was not very comfortable with anyone. Somewhere last year, the minister decided that there's a need for us to introduce some efficiency.
The finance minister.
The finance minister.
Right.
To the VAT regime. And so that resulted in a complete overhaul again, or what we say comprehensive reform of the VAT.
Right.
So what the minister is seeking to do, or the law sought to do, is to review the Act 870,
Right.
and then consolidate all the previous amendments that were introduced to make the law very certain to everyone. And then we are certain that with these changes, we may improve collection and improve domestic tax mobilization.
What do you have in mind, bringing the new reforms from 40%, where do you want to get to? Or what do you think you'd like? What do you think you
Okay,
achieve?
so I'll take you to the expectation of the Minister of Finance in respect of the tax to GDP ratio.
Right.
The general tax to GDP ratio is around 13%. And what we are looking at now is about 16%. And that means that we need to target the VAT, which has the potential to rake in significant amount of domestic tax revenue because the gap is huge compared to all other taxes. So our expectation is to close it as much as possible. If not, we should be having a gap of about 20%, I think, if reform works well.
It's profound that we are able to do only 40% out of 100% and 60% no more for Muhwedi. Is that not the case?
Yes. So it's also because we have a tall list of exemptions. Most countries are trying to review the exemption. The longer or the list of exemptions, it also means that you're also taking away from the potential revenue. So it's not only non-compliance generally, but there's a need to also review some of these exemptions. So you notice recently, some of these exemptions comes with sunset clause. So it enables government over a short time to review whether the exemption really are making impact on the economy, and then we proceed. So maybe that would be the posture going forward to also reduce the exemptions list.
Awesome. Let me come to Mr. Kwakupum and find out from you how these reforms actually align with Ghana's broader economic objectives for the year 2026.
Thank you very much. So, for the year 2026, government seeks to shore up revenue to highest level it can.
Yes.
And if you look at the tax system as it is now, we have a situation where, so as it is prior to the coming into effect of the new act,
yes,
we had a situation where we had a sort of cascading tax effective rate to the extent that we got to about 21.9% of the tax, in effect, when you make purchases and you make payments.
Right.
Then you have that. So government seeks to bring that down. We are looking at it in the current system to be around 20%.
Okay.
Okay, the 20% is just a cumulative of the various taxes that come under the indirect tax, especially related to the VAT.
Right.
So it's the VAT and the levies as it is. Now, this is also as a result of abolishing the COVID-19 health recovery levy,
Right.
which is something that probably has outlived its usefulness for the
Absolutely.
purposes of which it was introduced.
Yes.
Okay. So the changes then are expected to boost business growth. That businesses will have that kind of reprieve to be able to develop and to improve on their activities, because the tax rate effective would have come down.
Right.
And also there will be a reduction in the operational costs, as well as an increase in competitiveness, which is very, very important for businesses to thrive.
Right.
And then you also look at a situation where, like we're saying, to enhance revenue mobilization.
Right.
Because this new tax reform is expected to enhance tax compliance. Because with certainty, as my colleague had mentioned earlier on, with certainty in the tax that you are paying, with the reduction in the effective rate, and then with other measures put in place, compliance is expected to go high, and then the tax base is also expected to be expanded. So this, in line with government direction, give reprieve to taxpayers across
Right.
board, both businesses and consumers, and then also enhance revenue mobilization
Right.
generally.
Okay, so there's also Act 1151, that's the VAT Act 2025.
Sure.
Yes. Why was it necessary, and what does it seek to cure?
Okay, so Act 1151, that is a VAT Act 2025.
Yes.
Basically seeks to harmonize, like my colleague said earlier on, harmonize the various tax handles that are related to VAT.
Right.
Now, you realize that in practice, under the previous regime, we had the taxes that had been decoupled, the levies
Yes.
that had been decoupled from the VAT.
Yes.
And we have, he mentioned again, various amendments that are taking place. And all these sometimes confuse even the tax officials.
Yeah.
How much more the taxpayers?
Absolutely.
So in the wisdom of the Minister of Finance and the government of the day, they have decided that, look, let's get something that is very simple to operate, very straight to the point. There will be no ambiguities as to whatever you are dealing with.
Right.
And in so doing, we bringing down what is the complexity in the previous regime, as well as the fragmentations. All those things are being harmonized to attain the certainty that we are looking at.
Yes.
Then again, we are looking at the bringing down the cascading effect, which I mentioned earlier on, from because of the various arrangements in the computation of the taxes.
Yes.
You have a cascading effect that leads it to about 21.9% effective tax rate. This time, it's going to come down to the 20% as the expectation goes. Again, there were flat rate regimes in the previous tax arrangement. These are being taken out. These are being taken out to ensure fairness, because under those tax flat rate regimes, there are businesses who may not register. There are others who register but are not able to really place themselves in the regime that is applicable to them.
Right.
And all kind of maneuvers are being done. Businesses try to go around the tax. So when certainty is ensured in this new arrangement, all these issues are expected to be done away with,
Right.
especially when we know that the COVID-19 is taken off. And then people are sure that this is what we are doing. And then the recoupling of the levies into the VAT arrangement.
Yes.
Okay, so then you also have we want to curb the incidence of the low tax compliance. The low tax compliance, because of the old system, had high compliance costs, especially for small businesses.
Yes.
So the Act then wants to make sure that we have reduced the effective rate, remove the COVID, as we have mentioned, recouple the GET fund and then the National Health Insurance Levy,
Right.
the VAT,
Right.
and then remove out the flat rates. Those things are also gone. This is expected to lead to an increment in registration.
Yes.
You also realize that the threshold for registration has been increased.
Right.
And that is also an incentive to ensure that we are able to have a full grasp of businesses that are expected to be in the VAT arrangement and the VAT regime accordingly.
Okay.
So those were some officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority speaking on the new VAT reforms and how they are going to help individuals like you and I, as well as businesses who do business in this country. We have some comments you've been sharing with us next.
Kojo, a freight forwarder in Tema, says, "Good evening, Iron Pot. Does this mean clearing agents and small logistics firms no longer need to register for VAT if we are below 750,000 turnover?"
So yes, you will be registered. The threshold does not apply to service providers. It means that all service providers are required to register for VAT. So your obligation is to request for the registration, and the Commissioner General will determine whether you should be registered or not.
Cornelius Fineboy from Catalapaz says, "What is GRA doing about double taxation, just like the tax stamps on both imported drinks and local drinks? Because we pay port duties before paying the stamp tax as well. If I haven't worked with my company certificate before and I want to start now, what is the way forward?"
As far as GRA is concerned, you can only pay tax that is designated.
Yes.
So if the tax, when it comes to excise, excise will have certain taxes imposed for the purposes of the excise activity.
Right.
And those ones will be charged ex-factory, and then those stamps will be affixed and you are paying
Right.
accordingly. So that one, there is no issue with it.
Okay.
It will continue to operate as per the arrangement that has been put in place. At the end of the day, those taxes, as excise taxes, will be accounted for as per their own arrangement.
Sure.
And then the VATs also will be accounted for as per its own arrangement.
Right.
So there is no ambiguity in or there is no mixture in this arrangement as we see
All right.
it. Yes.
Iron Port returns after this break.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, who feel ya? Huh? Who be feel? Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Welcome to today's edition of Serene Insurance Business News. We present to you Serena. You're right. You can complete an entire insurance process for the purchase of any motor and other insurance products, from onboarding to issuing a motor insurance sticker and policy certificate, all on WhatsApp in less than 10 minutes. Serena is simple to use and it prioritizes user ease and flexibility. You can either use voice notes or text to effortlessly issue your instant policy, cross-platform renewals, claims, and also process your payments through mobile money, Visa, and MasterCard. To engage Serena, just search for Serena Insurance on all social media handles and scan the Serena barcode or save her number 0500 517 114 and start chatting her on WhatsApp immediately. There you have it. Serena is not just a tool, it's an innovation by Serena Insurance designed to redefine how motor and travel insurance are accessed and managed. Speed, convenience, and reliability.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
At Phoenix Insurance, we make the unpredictable predictable and the uncertain certain with our range of products, including motor insurance, fire insurance, engineering insurance, marine insurance, accident insurances, and all types of bonds. We have you covered. We also support you with risk management advice to enable you stay focused on your business. Take a policy with Phoenix Insurance today. We help you rise from adversity stronger and more secure. Contact us on 0302 246319 or 0302 246644 or any of our branches, agencies, and brokers spread across the nation. You can as well connect with us on our WhatsApp chatbot. Efiba is waiting to assist you. Make the future predictable with Phoenix Insurance. Phoenix Insurance, a delightful service experience delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Eye on Port. Now it's time for news and activities happening within the maritime industry.
The Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has assured leaders of the country's major road transport unions that the John Mahama-led government will urgently move to address worsening road congestion, shortages in public transport vehicles, and operational challenges within Ghana's urban transport system. The Vice President was speaking at a stakeholder meeting held at the Ministry of Transport with leadership of the nation's transport unions. Representing President John Dramani Mahama, who is currently out of the jurisdiction, Professor Opoku-Agyeman outlined medium-term interventions, including the procurement of high-occupancy buses, the rehabilitation of broken-down vehicles, and the construction of key road linkages to ease pressure on major transport corridors.
We are therefore taking steps to improve the public transport system, not only by retooling, but also, of the state services, but especially on the private sector too. And I hope that answers your concern about the support that you need.
She noted that an efficient transport system is critical not only to commuter welfare, but also to Ghana's trade and logistics chain.
Fellow countrymen and women, we want them to be aware that government is not blind to the situation, that we have not seen, that we don't care, we think it's somebody's problem, it's everybody's problem. That is why I started by saying that we need to team up to find the solutions. We believe that the problems have solutions.
Minister for Transport Joseph Bukari Nipe reaffirmed government's commitment to retooling the sector, describing transport reform as a priority for national development.
Good news is that government is willing, government is prepared to retool our transport companies like the Intercity, STC, the Metro Mass Transit Limited, and Ayalolo under the Ministry of Local Government. We know we are at difficult times, but having the backing of Her Excellency and the President of the land, very soon we will see some renewal of fleets in our agencies.
The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, called for unified stakeholder action to fast-track the planned interventions.
You see that a sitting Vice President has visited us. It tells you how sensitive the matter is and how we want to help you. So we may not want to blame you, but bear with us that we are in crisis. Don't let us be giving excuses. And don't let us be shaking responsibilities and be shifting blames. That it is you, it is me, you are doing this, I'm doing this. There's a problem. The President has identified it. Let's support government to function.
Transport unions represented at the meeting included the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, Ghana Committed Drivers Association, Ghana National Cargo Transport Association, and the Joint Association of Port Transport Unions. The Vice President later rounded off her engagements with a working visit to Metro Mass Transit Limited and the Ayalolo Bus Terminal, where she interacted with management and frontline staff of the state-owned public transport agencies. A combined team of technical experts from the United States Coast Guard and the Ghana Maritime Authority has paid a working visit to the port of Tema as part of an international ship and port facility security code inspection exercise. The visit formed part of ongoing collaborative efforts to strengthen port security systems and enhance Ghana's compliance with international maritime security standards in line with the requirements of the International Port Facility Security Code. During the inspection, the visiting delegation undertook a comprehensive tour of key operational and security installations at the port. The team also inspected operations at the MPS Terminal 3. The delegation was hosted by the Harbour Master of the Port of Tema, Captain Bramwell Tewia, and the Tema Port Security Manager, Kenil Daniel Bonda, who led engagements with port security personnel and operational teams.
We go strictly by the code. Yes, yes. Okay. What the code entails, we also comply. Okay.
So the port security you saw that is in charge of the access control. You would have seen the fire and safety person also at the access control. Okay. Also to make sure that all PPEs that one needs to wear is there before he enters the port. Before the immigration officers, also at the access control. Matters related to security is shared with the security.
The inspection team is expected to compile its findings and submit a detailed report of observations and recommendations to the Ghana Maritime Authority to further strengthen ISPS code implementation across Ghana's ports. Speaking during the visit, Scott Walland, Chief of Capacity Building and Technical Assistance at the International Port Security Program of the U.S. Coast Guard, said the mission was aimed at facilitating safe, secure, and legitimate trade between Ghana and the United States.
Our visit is part of an ongoing relationship and partnership between the United States Coast Guard and the Ghana Maritime Authority and working with the Ports and Harbor Authority. And so teams have come from the past, and we've invited a delegation from Ghana, a joint team to come to the United States and work with the U.S. Coast Guard on a visit to the United States to continue the discussions and to continue to share best practices on implementation of the ISPS code. And so we're looking forward not only to our visit this week, but to hosting a delegation and a team from Ghana to the United States later this year.
He explained that the U.S. Coast Guard works closely with designated ISPS authorities in countries regarded as key maritime trading partners due to the critical importance and sensitivity of the global maritime supply chain. On his part, Mustafa Adama, Principal Officer for Monitoring and Enforcement at the Ghana Maritime Authority, expressed satisfaction with the collaboration, noting that the engagement with GPHA and other port security agencies remains central to Ghana's successful implementation of the ISPS code.
All this is just to make sure that everybody is supposed to do what he is to do. And the Ghana Maritime and Port and Harbours Authority have implemented the recommendations. And between 2023 and now, there have been remarkable improvements. But as you told me, security, you don't stop because the women you relax if you are caught unaware. So work still in progress, even though tremendous improvements have been made based on the recommendations that have come out from the joint inspection by the USISPS.
The director of Takoradi Port, Captain James Richmond Quayson, has expressed strong optimism about the port's prospects for 2026 in a stakeholder engagement held on Thursday, January 8. The cocktail meeting brought together shipping lines, terminal operators, freight forwarders, customs, and regulators to review the port's 2025 performance and outline strategies for growth in a relaxed setting. Captain Quayson said operational reforms at the Atlantic Terminal have significantly improved productivity, with ship-to-shore crane performance increasing from about 8 containers per hour to nearly 50 containers per hour after equipment upgrades.
We are trying to put up a lot of space in the port by way of sheds for transit cargo. We are working on it. Procurement of new equipment, we are working on it. We've been engaging ATSL, and for them, they are also up to the game. When I took over office, we realized that their ship-to-shore ratio was very low. They were doing about 8 containers per hour, which is a no. We do them on, they have fixed their equipment, and they are doing about 15 containers per hour, which is still low. But we're giving them up to March this year to bring in more equipment to deliver the vessels.
He also shared the port's 2024 to 2025 performance figures, where bauxite exports rose by 25%, clinker traffic increased by 21%, and overall cargo throughput grew from over 9.4 million tons in 2024 to more than 10.3 million tons in 2025. The director of ports said Takoradi is well positioned to support government 24-hour economic policy and remains committed to strengthening its role as a strategic logistics hub in Ghana's Western Corridor.
His Excellency the President, I've said many times that the port must do well, and when he was launching the anchor slogan, the anchor thing for his campaign, the 24-hour economy, he mentioned the port. We in Takoradi, we have engaged, we are ready to deliver 24 hours by the volumes. So when the volumes pour in, when we have the volumes, we will deliver 24 hours. 24 hours to create more jobs.
Management of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has officially bid farewell to Denise Bado Dauda, the outgoing Ghana representative of the Burkina Faso Shippers Council, following her promotion to Director General of the Council. Madam Denise Bado Dauda will now serve from the Council's headquarters in Ouagadougou. The brief ceremony was marked by goodwill messages and appreciation for her dedication and professionalism in strengthening business relations between Ghana's ports and shippers from Burkina Faso, as well as other stakeholders within the port and logistics chain.
You are welcome to GPHA. This is your own home. But today, you have come here in a different form, in a grand form. Ooh. So we want to welcome you, thank you in that sense. But they've asked us, myself, my brother, GM Risk, who's also in charge of transit, and my good friend, Mr. Laliban, who is GPH's former ambassador to Burkina Faso. I've been asked to welcome you this afternoon and then show our appreciation to you.
On m'a choisi arranger et puis aussi guider ce qui est un transit vers Ouagadougou, vers Mali et vers Niger. Donc, je vais beaucoup travailler encore avec vous.
In her remarks, the accomplished bilingual expressed gratitude to the authority and the people of Ghana for their support and cooperation during her tenure and called for even stronger collaboration between the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Burkina Faso Shippers Council.
Je disais que je vous remercie de m'avoir reçu ce soir pour vous dire au revoir et je voudrais aussi vous souhaiter une très bonne année et à Monsieur le Directeur Général et à Monsieur le Président du Conseil d'administration des ports qui a été à Ouagadougou avec nous et à tous les collaborateurs de GAPUA.
The ceremony reaffirmed the strong trade and transit partnership between Ghana and Burkina Faso, anchored on the ports of Tema and Takrade as critical gateways for Burkina Faso's international trade.
It's now time for international port and maritime news.
A Chinese-led BRICS naval exercise in Cape Town has triggered diplomatic tension after Iranian warships joined the drills at Simon's Town Naval Base. South Africa later asked Iran to downgrade its role from participant to observer, citing reputational and political concerns. The move followed fears that Pretoria's trade benefits under the U.S. African Growth and Opportunity Act could be jeopardized. The exercise, aimed at protecting commercial shipping lanes, is the first naval drill held under the BRICS banner and runs until January 16. Taiwan has fined and deported a Chinese fishing boat captain who admitted to damaging a subsea communications cable off its coast. The incident caused an outage on the Taiwan-Malaysia submarine cable after fishing nets became entangled with an abandoned anchor. A court found the captain negligent and sentenced him to jail, later commuted after fines and compensation were paid. Taiwan says it has stepped up monitoring of critical offshore infrastructure following a series of similar cable damage incidents.
It's now time for the word or phrase of the day's segment.
A Newcastle Max is a very large dry bulk carrier built to the maximum size that can safely enter and load at the Port of Newcastle in Australia, one of the world's biggest coal export terminals. Typically around 200,000 to 210,000 deadweight tons, with maximum length and beam near port limits, these vessels mainly haul bulk cargoes like coal and iron ore.
Let's take a listen to some health and safety tips.
Fire sprinkler system. A fire sprinkler system is an active fire protection method consisting of a water supply system providing adequate pressure and flow rate to a water distribution piping system to which fire sprinklers are connected. Used only in factories and large commercial buildings, systems for homes and small buildings are now in use. Fire sprinkler systems are extensively used worldwide, with over 40 million sprinkler heads fitted each year.
Now, schedules of vessels in the port, those at anchorage and those expected in the coming week, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rate you may need to know to clear your goods from the port next. So that's all for this week's episode of Eye on Port. Thank you for watching and thanks to the entire crew. Join us same time next week and also follow us on our various social media on your screens.